Okay. Welcome to New Earth Consciousness. Tanya here with Stephanie Kraft. Stephanie is an energy healer with decades of experience, and I'm excited to have her here with us to talk about all the things that she does, which is quite an array of different types of services. So, Stephanie, thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Tanya, for inviting
Yeah,
me.
yeah, absolutely. So I really had fun connecting with you, and we had our own little coffee chat before this because we've both been doing energy work for um, decades, and I'm really curious. Your background, if I remember right, you had gotten your master's degree in, was it biology or
It was a master's of science, but it's in
master's of science? Yeah.
health fitness management. It's like health, exercise, physiology, nutrition, and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So curious to know, like, how did you know that you were an energy healer? Or what was the process of that? Was it something you always kind of had a connection with, or was it you know, a spontaneous moment?
It was a gradual and spontaneous experience. Well, so, you mentioned my master's. I was working in that field in corporate America, the health fitness industry, different wellness, working with hospitals, a bunch of different jobs, doing like health education and things like that. Um, but I really wanted to help people at a much deeper level. It was like this, it felt like a soul calling, but I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know what that would be. And I was doing a lot of research into different fields, thinking about getting a doctorate in naturopathic medicine or a PhD in psychoneuroimmunology, or an acupuncture. I was actually on my way to acupuncture school to get a master's in acupuncture. But then I had a reading with a psychic, and I didn't believe in psychics at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and so this was in the year 2000, and that was the year I had a massive spiritual awakening. Actually, this psychic was the catalyst
Yep.
for that awakening. So he said, I went to him in person, and he said, Stephanie, you are a healer and a teacher. And what you end up doing is going to come from within you. And like you're remembering it from your soul.
Yeah.
And that woke me up in like an explosive way. And it was at that time that I was doing all my research about these programs so I was on my way to becoming a healer, but I wouldn't have called myself a healer, and I didn't really know too much about energy healing yet. And so it was the next year in 2001 that I went for my Reiki training. But when he said you're a healer, I knew in my soul, I knew in my heart and my soul and my whole being that that was the truth. And that was the wake up for me about that topic. And then when I went for my Reiki training the next year, I got to actually be the healer, do the healing. And that was incredible. And my gifts opened up, over time since 2001 when I started.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me how like Reiki seems to be the doorway. You know, I was introduced to Reiki around about the same time, actually, year 2000, 2001. I had never heard of it, and it wasn't anything I was looking for. So I don't know if that was how did you, right? Because Reiki is not something, at least back then, now it's more common knowledge, but back then I never heard of it. I wouldn't have known where to look. I mean,
The
how,
way that it happened for me was really interesting. So I mentioned I was working in the health industry, and in 1997, I was working in Baltimore, Maryland. I lived in DC. I'm from DC originally. I don't live there anymore, but I was working at a health fair. That was part of my job. We organized health fairs for companies throughout the Mid-Atlantic region. So I would go to these frequently and be working. And so this one time I decided to take a break from my table and go walk around. Um, to see what other people were doing, just take a break and walk around. And this woman, as I was passing by her table, she said to me, "Would you like to experience Reiki?" And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "It's universal life force that flows down through me and out my hands." And I didn't know what she was talking about. But I said, "Okay." I sat down in her chair. She just had a table and a chair. And I sat there and she stood behind me and she put her hands on my shoulders from behind.
Mhm.
And her hands heated up to a degree that's not humanly possible. And so it felt so good. And I was, like thinking, okay, when I get up, I'll look for the thermos or the radiator where she heated up her hands. And so when she was finished, I looked around and there was nothing, just the table and the chair. And I told her, I'm looking for the radiator or the heater, the thermos where you heated up your hands. I was sincere about that. I was like, she had to have heated up her hands somewhere.
Mhm.
And she said, "No, no, that's Reiki. That's universal life force flowing down through me and out my hands." And so to me, she was speaking another language. But I took that Reiki and I put it in my back pocket for later because that was 1997. And it wasn't until 2000 that it came into my life. Even though I got the training in 2001, my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer in 2000. And my sister came home from Seattle, where she lives, and to DC. I was home taking care of my dad, and he would ask for Reiki. So interestingly enough, I took him to every appointment. I was his caregiver, and I brought him to acupuncture because he was doing that regularly. And the acupuncturist, after she would put the needles in, she would hold his feet and do Reiki on him
Mhm.
the whole rest of the time while the needles were in. And then when my sister came home, she had Reiki level 2. And he would ask her for Reiki every day. "Can you please do Reiki on my feet?" He loved having it on his feet, probably just because his acupuncturist did it there. And that was all he knew about it. So she would sit there and do Reiki on his feet every day when he would ask. And I would say, "I know about Reiki. I'm going to learn Reiki too." Like I already knew I was going to learn it because of my awakening that had happened earlier that year. And that was taking Reiki out of that back pocket that I had held for the past 3 years since
Mhm.
then, 1997. And so it was already something I was going to do after I finished taking care of my father. And he passed away 5 months later. And then few months after that, I got my training.
Yeah, interesting. So you on your website, you talk about your unique frequency and I would love for you to talk about this because I do think it's true that each healer has their own, because they're walking their own path and they have their own unique gifts, right? Like some are clairvoyant, some have clairgnosis, maybe some have all the clairs, some have whatever, do light language, what all these different ways to tap in and bring healing to somebody. Talk about how did you, so when you started doing Reiki and it's like, oh yeah, you feel it, right? Like, oh yeah, I feel my hands heating up. Wow, they're getting really hot or whatever. And people are going, oh my gosh, that felt so good. My neck doesn't hurt anymore, like whatever. So, you've been doing this for a long time. So what did you notice began to shift over time?
Yeah, this was another really big experience that happened to me. So, um, I don't usually share this. I mean, I've shared it a few times, and I think it might have something to do with it. In 2006, I had a walk-in experience, and we probably you know about walk-ins, but a lot of the time
Some
it's
people don't, so you might have to, yeah,
right. I'm going to
explain it.
explain. Yeah. So a lot of the time there's someone who may want to leave the body. They may want to die. They may have had trauma and they may be suicidal and they just don't want to do this life anymore. And there's an agreement at the soul level where another soul will come in. That soul will leave the body and another soul will come in. And it's a whole new soul and they have to integrate that and they're a completely changed person. That did not happen to me. I was not in any kind of distress. Nothing was going on that was bad. But what my kind of walk-in, which is this is another kind that can happen, where a part of your own soul or higher self, which is the same thing, can come into the body for the first time in this lifetime and that has not been here before. And that is what happened. And so I was
Mm.
looking through new eyes. I was newly here. It was a very weird experience because I still had me and the memory of
Sense of
everything my
yourself.
entire life, right?
Yeah.
But I was suddenly now, this new part of me, this new soul aspect was now in my body. And I was looking through new eyes and I was looking around at all the humans as I was a newcomer on Earth, not a human, not I didn't have the perception of being human yet because I hadn't integrated. It takes time to integrate. So I was looking around at all the humans and calling them human. Look at all these humans. Look at it's like a new, can you imagine like a new being coming to Earth? So it was like that. And I integrated it just fine. Nobody knew what was going on. I didn't know it was a walk-in because when you're having an experience, you don't open up an encyclopedia and say, oh, yes, this is a walk-in experience. You
Yeah.
only really realize it later.
In
And I was also,
hindsight, in
right,
hindsight, you were able to realize what had happened.
what had happened. I was told also what had happened. But in any case, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what happened. And everything changed from that point. I was suddenly devouring. I don't even know. I know I had to have gone on Amazon to order them, but it was almost like a soul thing that just went on Amazon and ordered all these books that were new to me. Things like the raw material, the Seth material, Pleiadian stuff, Arcturian, just all these books. I was devouring books like they were food. So this shift, this vibrational shift was already happening. But the other thing that was happening that started to happen was I was being downloaded with a new healing gift. So every morning I would wake up in my bed and this energy would be pulsing through my entire body, like, like this back and forth shit, like vibrations through
Hmm.
the whole body. And I would wake up to that every day. And then I would lay there and wait for it to finish and it would eventually subside. Then I would get up and then throughout the day, if I was sitting in a chair like this,
Hmm.
then I would feel the energy coming in through the top of my head and spiraling through my whole body, spiraling up and down all the chakras and the Kundalini, all of it. And so this went on for from 2006 to 2009, nonstop with these downloads of all the time of this energy. And then in 2009, I had an experience where I went to another dimension or planet or place. So while I was sleeping, so I was brought to this other place, and there were these beings of light, two of them, they were male, and they were instructing me on how to heal the human body. And so they had, how we can, like, the doctor will put the X-ray up and there's light behind. So it was similar to that kind of a screen. They had the silhouette of the human body, and they were instructing me on how to heal the body. And they also let me know that I had this gift. And so when I woke up in the morning, I knew I had been instructed on how to heal the human body, and I knew I had this healing gift. So I then decided next time I have a client, I'm going to not do Reiki at all. I'm just going to put my hands on them and do nothing. And I'm going to see what happens. And when I put my hands on my client, the energy that came through me felt 1,000 times stronger than Reiki. And I told myself at that time, I'm never doing Reiki again. And so from 2009 until today, I've only done this. And I do have all the clairs and I can communicate with everybody's higher self. So when I do a session, I just channel it. It may not look like channeling, but I talk to the higher self and then I say, okay, your higher self is saying this. But the healing changed that day, and moving forward, where the sessions were very different. The energy coming through was so incredibly powerful, and the healings have been miraculous. And the people, what they feel is quite something. And all of my sessions are over the phone now. I've shifted it, and
Mhm.
it works, of course, the same, just as well. Not, I shouldn't say of course, but I could only do it if it worked the same, over the phone. So
Mhm.
people do receive the healing. Um, just the same as if it's in person, but you obviously they're not feeling like
You're
as much as
right.
when my hands are on them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Just letting that like, phew. So that's really interesting. So, you also, so uh, when this new, I mean, I'll just call it like a new, your own connection to these these light beings that taught you how to do this. Um, I want to go, I'm curious though, at this point, I want to go back just for a second. When you had that walk-in experience and you started seeing things anew, um, does this new experience, is that kind of how that new experience became the way that you moved forward in your life from that point on? Yes.
Yeah. Yes. It integrated fully.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, honestly, I don't think anybody could notice a difference.
Sure.
But my vibration changed
Yeah.
so much that I started to get new friends. I asked for a divorce that year. It was just, I was just, when you're spiritually evolving so much and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And were there physical changes as well? Did you, I mean, sometimes I feel like when I talk to other healers and they have some kind of awakening process, suddenly like they change their diet, they move to a new place, and like you're saying, they get divorced or whatever. It's like, were there other things that changed?
Not really.
Not really.
Not
Yeah.
physical things.
Not
No.
physical things, just, oh, well, very cool.
Not that I can really remember.
Right.
Yeah.
So, can you talk about, let's talk about the twin flames, twin souls. I'm really curious about that. I feel like people have different views and understandings of what a twin flame and a twin soul is. So I'm curious, like, what is your definition of that? And um, what does that mean that you work with someone's twin flame or twin soul?
Okay. So I didn't know what it was. And I was already working with them. So the interesting thing about me, and I think all of us, especially healers, people are vibrationally drawn to us or their higher selves guide them to us. So twin flames have been flocking to me since 2008. And I'll define what it is first, and then I'll go back to that. My understanding of it is if you imagine the sun has so much energy. liken that to a soul. That a portion of the sun's energy can come into a body. So part of my soul is in my body, animating me as Stephanie in this life. Another portion of that same soul energy can come into another body and another and another and another.
Mm.
I know for a fact we don't just have one. We can have multiple. I don't like the word twin because that means two, right?
Right.
People get confused because they say you can't have more than one. That's insanity. Like it says it's like saying the sun can only shine one ray of
Yeah.
light.
Right.
So anyway, and so in 2008, I had my first twin flame client, and I do life between lives hypnotherapy. So she came for that and then crossed over. She had a twin flame situation with a man and then crossed over and, found out they were one soul. And then from that point on, they kept coming and kept coming. Well, I never suspect, and I didn't know what the word twin flame was, even though I'm working with all of these people that had these themes, the same, they were incarnating as with the same another person on earth came from the same soul, different incarnations from the same soul, same soul in multiple bodies.
Mhm.
And then I got deep with that topic with my Life Between Lives hypnotherapy clients, asking them questions like, did you incarnate? Is this the only incarnation from your soul in this lifetime on planet Earth?
Mm.
Yes. And they would, if it's a yes, they would say, "Oh my gosh, that's too hard for me. That would be so hard. That's a very hard thing to do, to have multiple same soul aspects in bodies at the same time while incarnating." Then I'd ask every client, and the ones who would say yes, I'd ask, why did you choose to do that? And the soul would say, because this is soul level communication that's happening in this session. And they would tell me, you learn so much more when you decide to incarnate at the same time with other same soul aspects. And I would ask, like, are you going to meet them? And anyway, we would go deep dive into that. But then in 2012, I met my first twin flame.
Oh,
It's like it's like getting hit by a speeding train. It's quite an experience. And people would say
positive or negative? I don't know. Being hit by a train doesn't sound very good.
both. It's the
It's
most
just intense.
intense,
Yeah.
traumatic, horrific agony you could ever imagine, and also ecstasy and love.
I've heard this before. There was another person that does healing work. He described it as that, which is really fascinating.
Yes. And so I met, then I met in 2014 another one. I did not know you could have more than one. That's the common knowledge out there. You can only have one, which again I said is it's BS. So because I met my next one in 2014, which like I said, I didn't know you could have another one until I met. And it's the same thing. Another train crashed into me, and again, it's the same agony and ecstasy at the same time, and a horrific experience. Really, I actually know many who have committed suicide. I know many who are on disability, literally not working because this destroyed them. Um,
Okay, so let's back up a second because a lot of people have this conception of, oh, I want to find my twin flame so I can be with them, marry them, etc. I'm curious. There's that conception. Like I encounter people though, not very many. I mean, I've had a couple of people like, is this my twin flame? And they think that, oh, if it is my twin flame, it means that we're supposed to be together forever.
what they are talking about is they really want their soulmate.
Right.
They don't want their twin flame because like I said, it can feel like the most tragic experience of your life. So the way
Why
that
is that? Why is that?
I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
because if you imagine being at home with God and you're one and you're in love and joy and peace, and nothing could ever feel better than that. And you're stripped away from that and you come and incarnate on earth, which we all do that, but we don't have a conscious memory of that separation.
Mm,
When you are a twin flame, you have the experience of it being with God and the oneness and the love and being stripped away, being separated from that. And it's the most painful thing you can experience. And and it's because you are one soul and you are incarnated in a body. And then you meet another one of the same soul in another body, and you know
hmm
that you are one and you were one, and now you're separate. You're not really separate, but in the earth
An
illusion,
experience, yes.
we experience that as separation. So when you meet, you go through the agony and the torture of experiencing that separation. And you have the love at the same time because that's at the soul level. You don't even care what they look like, or it's not about that. This is a soul connection.
Mm,
Oh, well, yeah. So so I met the second one, and then at in that same year, I met about seven, because I don't know why. Okay, my story is so unique. You may never hear another story like this in your lifetime. I haven't. I don't know other people who have met like eight. I've met probably eight of them. Now, not all of them are painful. There are platonic ones where I'll give you an example. And
hmm
I would have never known. Well, maybe we would have found out. In 2014, I had a client come in, a woman, for a Life Between Lives hypnotherapy session. Never met her before. She came in, she's on my table, doing it on a massage table. She's under hypnosis, and her soul started talking to me directly and said, and us.
hmm
The soul said, the two of you
hmm
have been the same person in 21 lifetimes. That means that our same soul aspects were in one body in 21 lifetimes, but in this lifetime, we're in two bodies. They told us some of the people we were. I'll share one of them. A lot of them were famous. I don't know why, but I've had a lot of famous lifetimes. It's weird. But this one, and I normally don't say who, because
Okay.
I would not, but why not? I'll just share one. You
Okay.
know Botticelli's La Primavera, where Venus
hmm
is standing,
And the
um,
seashell?
yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She and I, in that lifetime, we were that model who stood for that painting. We were her in the painting.
Mm,
So that was one they shared with us. But anyway, the thing is, we became friends that day because of this experience. And it was so weird because every time we would catch up, we would be having the same revelations, thoughts, experiences, even though our lives were very different. Things would always be connecting. And this was true with the other ones too. Really crazy things would happen. Like one of them was my chiropractor, and I would go into his office every week because I had been in a car accident. So I was on this, plan through the insurance company, like 10 sessions. So I went, and imagine like this color I'm wearing, it's unique, every single time I went in, I would be wearing a color and he would be wearing the exact same color shirt every time. And they'd always be different. All like
Yeah.
he had very colorful like dress shirts. He would wear a men's dress shirt.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, and we never talked, we didn't ever talk about it. But I probably noticed it. You would think I noticed it every time. It was like it was weird. But and like he healed me like in a miraculous way. For example, twin weird things happen with twin flames. So I would be lying down on his table and I'd have like, he'd have to crack my back in one place. And he would bring his hand down to start the right when before he got there, it would crack. He wouldn't even have to touch me. And he would, we would both go like, okay, that was interesting. But anyway, um, so because I have so much experience with them, with twins, I started making YouTube videos on the topic. Just I had some things to say and I started talking about them.
Yeah.
And that is how, hundreds of twin flames started coming to me for sessions. So I started doing twin flame healing sessions because, like I said, it can be so hard. And there are so many themes that are involved in having a twin flame that nobody else would understand.
Interesting.
Nobody would understand how excruciating it is, or all of the things that come along, or the connection. The connection is so intense, like to the point where one of them, when he would be doing worldwide travel for work, he would be flying to different countries. He wouldn't tell me. I mean, we wouldn't always talk every day or anything like that. At some point, we were not like talking all the time, except anyway, regularly, but not like I didn't know where he was flying. That's my point. And so his higher self would touch me on the tip of my nose while I was sleeping. I could feel it, and he would wake me up. So we're having experiences with the higher self or the soul of the twin. And these are things that are not that relatable to most people. So only twin flames can talk about these things because we know everybody else is going to think we're crazy. So anyway, his higher self would do this and wake me up, and I'd wake up and I would text him. I don't know why, what made me text him. And he would say, I'm flying to France. I'm flying to Italy. I'm flying. He would always be flying to a foreign country when this would happen. And for some reason, his soul wanted me to like wake up and connect with him during that travel time. Um, anyway, yeah, that's a little bit about twin flames.
Interesting. So is there like what would you say? I mean, I know that you said like the twin flame experience, you're experiencing the agony and the bliss at the same time. Is there, does, the divine or God or whatever, is there a reason why someone has to have that experience in a particular lifetime? What is the lesson?
I
Or
can
how does
only
it help someone on their path to have that experience? Or what are the gifts that come from having that experience?
Okay, so that's a very deep topic. One of the things can be it can bring up all of your shadow aspects, your wounds, everything you need to heal,
Mm,
because that's your mirror. I'm
gotcha.
not saying they're you, or like, I'm not saying, I mean, they are you, but I'm not saying you're the same.
Yeah,
I'm saying it's a mirror shining back at you where you feel so exposed, and all of everything that you have within you that needs healing can come to the surface. That's one reason it's so painful. It's not just the separation, it's the pain of everything coming up to be healed.
right.
And so that's part of it. And it's happening for both people,
Yeah,
and they trigger each other. And
right.
the energy is so great. Imagine there's one sun. Well, imagine two suns coming near each other, and the light is so amplified and hot, and it burns. We don't have that experience. We can't imagine what it would be like to have two suns getting close to each other, but that's what it is for twin flames. So when they connect, it's so intense that they need to separate to recalibrate, integrate, and process their interaction.
Mm,
And so not only the intensity of the energetic interaction, but also everything that's been brought up. So twin flame separation is a thing. It's always part of it.
yeah.
And then, so, and then the deep things you're learning, if you can heal, everything and get to this, which is unconditional love, forgiveness, because humans come to Earth to master many things. And some of the lower things people are mastering could be not lying, so honesty or jealousy or stealing or murdering. We know people murder each other. I mean, all
Right.
kinds of things happen on this planet. And so as we evolve as souls, the highest levels of evolution would be unconditional love and forgiveness, the
Mm,
things that Jesus taught us, and other masters who have come here to take us by the shoulders and say, wake up, humans, you're supposed to be learning these things. Well, that's what a twin flame journey will do for you. It
mm,
will bring you into the hardest lessons. It's a way to do that. Other people have things like they lost all their money in the stock market, or their house burned down, or they lost a child, or
mm,
they got cancer. Everybody has the things that will bring them into the dark night of the soul, where they could then have a spiritual awakening and spiral back up to the highest levels of evolution that we can do. And the twin flame journey is just one way to do it.
one another way. Gotcha. Okay. That helps. That was a lot, people.
It
Let
is a
that
lot.
one digest. I don't know if I don't think I've had that experience. I guess it's you know if you know,
You
right?
would know, you would absolutely know if you
Yeah, if
did.
you know.
And there's no question. Usually people say, how do I know if it's my twin? You generally will not have that question.
Right, you just know it. Interesting. So fascinating. Now, you do something that's called Life Between Lives with your hypnotherapy. Can you explain that? Like, what is that exactly?
So it's a hypnotherapy session, which um, is very long. It can be 3 hours, it can be 4 hours, it can be 5 hours, but basically you take the client to a past life and explore that. And well, let me go back. You can actually start by going back down to the womb when we are in the womb with our mother before being born into this lifetime. And that's the beginning of going back in time in this session. And that's a very interesting part of it, because when we are in the womb, we are still on the other side. We haven't crossed over into this world yet. And so we are in our soul state. So when we go to talk with the being, the soul in the womb, we are now talking to the soul. And we can start with our line of questioning there. Why did you choose this lifetime?
Mm,
Why did you choose this family, this mother, this father? What is this lifetime about for you? What are you here to learn? Why are you here? What do what is this? How do you feel about coming into this lifetime? Why did you choose this body?
mm,
And so this is what we're exploring in a life between lives. And from the womb, we take the client then to another lifetime. We explore that, and the themes of the another life are always correlated to this lifetime. It's like we have a story going on that continues. It's almost like if a movie has a trilogy, every movie is a continuation of the story. It's the same with our lives. And so when you take a client back into another lifetime, you ask, one of the techniques is look into the eyes of that person and tell me if you recognize that person as a soul that you know now in your life. And always we're with soul group members, repeatedly. And so we explore the themes of that life, and we take the client all the way to the last day of that life and say, leave the body at the time of death. And they leave. It's just like nothing floating. It doesn't feel, death is not traumatic. I've never, even when they've been like murdered or burned alive, anything,
Yeah.
it's not traumatic because the soul usually departs, leaves the body before the trauma anyway. So they're gone, they're not traumatized, they're looking around, like look down at the scene, and then they go, then they're on the other side. So then I'm guiding them, you know, asking questions of the soul. They always have a list of questions. So we begin asking their questions,
Hmm.
and we look at that lifetime they just visited and compare it to this lifetime we're living and look at the themes. What were you learning in that lifetime? What are you learning in this lifetime? Why? And the soul will be speaking through the person now. And then there are questions. It's usually about relationships. What is this connection with this person and this person?
Mm.
Why, all of the relationship questions. What should I do? What's my purpose? Or why am I sick? What are my health issues? So we explore everything. We do healing during
Hmm.
that. We
Hmm.
receive spiritual healing. I had a woman who had stage 4 cancer. She was in her early 30s.
Wow.
She was a mother of 3 and
Mm.
had a husband. And she knew coming into the session, I know I'm at a choice point. Either I can go or stay. And I want to have a session and find out because I don't know what to do. And so in that session, her soul told her, that it was up to her. And they showed her, if you cross over and die,
Mhm.
this daughter have too much a hard time. She won't handle it. Your husband won't handle it. So she made the decision to stay. And so, but they healed her. Her soul healed her 100% in the session. She went back home and got a scan and sent me an email and told me she was cured that day and no more cancer was in her body, and that the soul guided her to understand during the session when she was in my office, you know, you have cancer in this place because of this unresolved emotion, and this place for this unresolved emotion. And so we have to heal all of our emotional wounds and traumas to be healthy. I should say all illness is a manifestation of a spiritual, mental, or emotional issue that hasn't been resolved. The cancer did come back 2 years later because I followed up with her, and she told me that after the session, she has direct communication with her higher self, and that it would tell her why it's in each location and what she still had to heal. So she was actively working on healing herself, and it had to come back so that she could heal those things.
Mm.
But that's just an example of what can happen during a session.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. It kind of reminds me of Anita, I think her name, Anita
Moonshine.
Moorjani. Yeah,
Yes.
her experience of that instantaneous healing after visiting the other side,
Yes,
basically.
so the LBS, life between lives sessions, they're very much like a near-death experience.
Yeah,
They're almost the same thing.
yeah, incredible. And so the medical intuition, I mean, obviously you're kind of already tapping into that subject. So when you do medical intuition, it's not that you're telling somebody, um, oh, well, I see that you have this, and this, and so here's how to, take this supplement or do that, or maybe it is, I don't know. Tell us about the medical intuition, because what I read is that you're able to see why somebody's having certain symptoms.
Right. So what I just talked about was hypnotherapy. I'm not doing energy healing or seeing anything that's the client being in touch with their own soul or their own subconscious.
Interesting.
My
Yeah.
energy healing sessions is where my medical intuitive gifts come in. And so when I'm doing a healing session, um, I I think I said I have all the clairs. So the information will come in to me through claircognizance, which is knowing, clairaudience, which is hearing, clairvoyance, which is seeing, claircognizance, which is knowing, and clairsentience, which is an empathic feeling of knowing. And so I feel things in my body exactly where they are in my client.
Mm,
Even if they don't tell me they have something, I'll say, do you have, in a
mm,
pinpointed way, so there's that. But the information that's coming in for me, it's coming in all of those ways. So I will know whether I see, feel, hear, or know. I will know the emotional, the trauma that happened, the emotions, the thoughts. I will know all of these things about the person and why they have this physical condition.
mhm,
And so that's how my medical intuition works. I'm not going to say, you have stage 2 kidney cancer. I don't get that. They'll tell me, um, I have a problem with my kidneys. And then I will tell them, it's because when you were 5, you got so scared and you had to go run and hide under the
mhm,
bed. And I'll see it, or I'll know
mhm,
that whether it was a traumatic event, but also like I said, the emotions the person's carrying, unresolved things from childhood or any period of life. That's how it works for me. So there are some people who are going to see clairvoyantly, you have a tumor here. I'm not doing that much. I'm getting the root cause and then I'm healing the root cause for the person.
interesting. Yeah,
That then heals the condition.
gotcha.
Like, for example, one man recently, a client of mine, followed up with me because he was dying of
Mm.
kidney failure and liver failure. And he was on the transplant list for both kidneys and liver. But he moved states. And when he moved, he lost his insurance.
Oh,
And then they took him off the transplant list. So he knew he was actively dying and he was having regular sessions with me and he was not in a good situation.
mm,
And we did regular sessions and I got, to the root of it with him.
mm.
And then he followed up a couple of months ago and he said, Stephanie, I went to the doctor and I got my kidneys and liver tested. They're perfect. I'm
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Incredible. Like, why? See, this to me, I'm like, why? Why? Well, I already know why the medical industry doesn't invest any research or time or energy in this, but um, I just feel like this is well, first of all, that's phenomenal. And secondly, I think that having these conversations and sharing this with the world is so important because when somebody gets a diagnosis, so often it's like, oh, it's a death sentence. It's permanent. I have this, that's it. I'm gonna have to do what the medical doctors say to do, and I'm just gonna have to go down that path. And they never address, they never talk about the emotional and spiritual causes. It's always physical. It's always looking at the body like it's a machine. Well, this is broken, so we're gonna have to do this. You're gonna have to take this drug or do that surgery, or they never, there's still that split of mind, body, and spirit. Like the physical and the spiritual still is viewed through the lens of it's separate, and we deal with them separately. So yeah, I hope this is bringing hope to some people that are listening to this. Stephanie, that is phenomenal. Um, Hats off to you, girl. That is amazing, amazing, amazing. So, what do you have? How can people find you? And what are are you offering anything right now in particular, or is it just, book a one-on-one? How can people work with you?
Well, my website is stephaniecraft.com. Stephanie Kraft, K with a K, Kraft with a K. And I have a YouTube channel, same name, Stephanie Kraft. And yes, I do one-on-one. I am thinking about offering classes and mentorships and things like that coming up. So
Mhm.
if people, how can they find out about that? I guess just,
If they go to your website, can they sign up for, do you have like a
right. I
newsletter
guess when
or?
if I do offer things like that, it'll be on my website. But for now, I just do one-on-one sessions.
Okay, perfect. And of course, they can find you here on Facebook and
Yes.
so, wow, this has been mind-blowing, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me. And if you're watching this right now, please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this with anyone that you think needs to hear this information. Already in my mind, I'm like, oh, I know who needs to watch this, especially the twin flame stuff, because it's like that's not my. I've never had that experience, so I can't really relate. But I've had people come to me asking me about that. I'm like, now I know who to point them to. So yeah, thank you so much, and sending so much love to everybody. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Tanya.
All right. Okay, take care, everybody, and bye for now.